I'm guessing you clicked on this video because you really like curry, but maybe you tried it in the restaurant and it was really good, and then you came home and you tried to recreate it at home and it was just all right. It was subpar, and that's totally understandable. That was my journey with curry for years, but because I'm a pro home cook, I had to dig a little deeper, and I went in, I learned some techniques, I learned some skills, and then years later, I'm making incredible curry at home that's just as good as the restaurant stuff. So that's what we're gonna be covering today. I have one curry paste recipe that uses just standard ingredients that anyone can get, and we're gonna be able to make 3 incredible curries that are completely unique and delicious. So buckle up, it is curry time. So today I'm making one master curry paste that will be able to branch out to make 3 different curries from different regions in Asia. And of course, by doing that, these recipes are not gonna be 100% authentic. That's not the point of this video, and many of you know by now, that's not really the point of my channel. So I can't guarantee 100% authentic recipes, but I can guarantee 100% deliciousness with your curry game. You're gonna be increasing your curry skills and enhancing your curry flavor. And what you see right here are a bunch of aromatics, and I feel like when we think of curry, we go straight to Thailand, the curry paste, because the Thai curry is so popular now, and for very good reason. It's absolutely delicious, but today I've tried to formulate a curry paste that really takes advantage of a broad spectrum of flavors. So here you can see bunch of different flavors, and these are aromatics, and really aromatics are just herbs or spices or veggies that you cook down in oil or in water that end up releasing their flavor to enhance your dish. And especially if you cook these in fats or oils, you end up transforming these flavors that really build the foundation of flavor for your curry. So I've got some cilantro, I've got some turmeric, I have some ginger, some shallots, some garlic, some lemongrass here, and then 2 types of chilies. I have some Thai chilies and then some Serrano chilies, both green. If you want your curry paste to be red, you would just use a whole bunch of red chilies. And I'm just gonna keep it simple with this base curry paste, which gives me the ability to add on flavors later. But of course, if you're making a more traditional style curry paste, you know, you might be adding some ground spices, you might be adding some umami type flavors like a fish sauce or a shrimp paste. But if I added those ingredients now in my curry paste, the flavors would be too distinct to a certain dish, which is not what I want when I'm making 3 dishes.
All right, so everything is set to go, and remember, it's not about getting all of these. You might not be able to find some of these ingredients. It's just about using what you have to build flavor. So just a few notes. I de-seeded these serranos right here, and then I'll just be adding these Thai chilies last. I don't know what the spice level is on those, so I'll first check the spice level with these, and then add these probably like 1 by 1. And here you see cilantro. And where are the leaves? Well, the leaves are over here. And the reason I'm doing just these stems is because traditional curry paste in Thailand actually uses the roots. And most cilantro isn't sold with the roots unless you go to a farmer's market or you're in Thailand. So the stems will still do a good job at that. But if you do find the roots, you can use those.
So this was a present given to me by my friend Derek, a traditional Thai mortar and pestle, the way you would actually hand pound curry paste. And if you want to learn how to do that, follow Make Bistro right here. He's making curry paste completely from scratch the traditional way, but it takes like an hour and a half and a lot of effort. So I'm definitely not using this. I'm calling on my friend, Mr. Food Processor, which is totally fine. And by using a blade in the food processor compared to pounding it out with this guy right here, you definitely won't be getting the optimal texture, but it will still be fine.
This always happens to me. I forget one of the ingredients in curry paste. There's just so many ingredients to keep track of. In goes the shallots, back at it. Oh, my eyes are getting slammed now. All right, this has been going for about 4 minutes. I'm gonna give it a sample to see the spicy levels. And I'm not expecting this to taste like pleasantly good. That's not the point of a curry paste. You don't just spoon it in your mouth and like, oh, that's a delicious bite. Woo! So spice is pretty good right now because I de-seeded most of those serranos. I don't know the spicy levels of these little Thai chilies. I could be making a huge mistake right here. If I was Thai, I'd probably add 15 or 20 of these, but my spice tolerance is weak, and that's why it's nice to make your own curry paste. So I'm just gonna go bloop, 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 5. and go from there. All right, that's been going for a good 7 minutes. You can see it's pretty smooth. I'm happy with that. Oh, and one more note. This is kind of like yellowish green curry paste. And the only difference between the colors is just the ingredients you added. So the combination of ingredients, the amounts, this turns somewhere in between yellow and green.
So the first curry we're gonna be making with the curry paste is a beef rendang, which is probably the most popular Indonesian curry, but technically, if you make this the authentic way, it's actually not a curry at all because you're cooking down beef in coconut oil for so long that you're actually caramelizing the beef and drying the beef out. So traditionally, this was a technique used to preserve beef, but we're not gonna take it that far. We're still gonna be cooking this beef down for a while, slow cooking, so it's nice and tender and delicious, but we're not actually preserving it and drying out. So I would definitely call this a curry, and I'm sure most people would as well. And it takes advantage of an aromatic curry paste, so it's perfect for what we made. So let's get after this beef rendang. Prep for this dish is pretty simple. All we have to do is cut up some beef. And I'm using beef chuck right here, which is a tougher cut. And that's what you want for this dish because we are slow cooking this beef over time so it gets nice and tender and caramelized in the coconut milk. And you can definitely use other cuts of meat for this dish, but make sure it's something that is a little tougher, that has more connective tissue that we can break down through a slow cooking process. Now I've got a heavy pot here for this curry, and that's important because we are slow cooking, so we want to maintain a nice even heat throughout the entire process. And I'm going to add some coconut oil to the pan because we are frying off that curry paste. That is the first step in this dish, but you can use any type of neutral oil really. And so now once that moisture is removed through the steam, well, you can slowly start to fry off this paste and really start to develop those flavors of the aromatics. All right, now it's time to add in those beef chunks, and they're gonna go through the exact same process as the curry paste because there's a lot of excess moisture in the beef as well. So at first, it's not gonna look like much. It's not gonna look very impressive at all, but then once that beef releases the water, it steams away, well, boom, we're gonna start frying because that beef has a lot of fat and that coconut oil is already in there as well. So now we've got double trouble going on. We are frying this beef and this curry paste at the exact same time.
All right, now let me show you something real quick. Look at that meat. That already looks sexy and we haven't even slow cooked it. Like if that was not a slow cooking cut, you could eat that right there and it'd be amazing. And also another thing to note, you know you're done. See that oil separation? That's what you want. The curry paste has separated from the oil. Good sign. We're ready to move on to the coconut milk.
Now it's time to add our coconut milk, and you definitely want to use whole coconut milk. You don't want the light stuff for this dish. You want some nice fatty coconut milk, and I'm using about 1.5 cans, but really you're just trying to add enough coconut milk to cover your beef. And once the coconut milk is added, well, it's time to add in some spices. So here are some whole spices. They're really gonna help intensify and deepen the flavor of this curry. So I've got some cardamom pods right here, one of my favorite spices, some cumin seeds, a little bit of star anise, probably just one of those, and a cinnamon stick. So all of the flavor that this dish needs is in the pot. So all we have to do now is give it time. So I'm gonna put the lid on and put it on a nice gentle simmer and slow cook that beef for around 1.5 hours to 2 hours, and we're gonna check in on this to see how it's doing in probably 1.5 hours.
All right, check this out. We've been cooking for 1 hour. You can see the coconut milk is starting to darken a bit and there's oil separation. See that oil separation? That's a good sign. Put the lid back on, but keep it cracked open like this so we can start reducing that liquid because we want to really caramelize this coconut milk and this beef and get it all silky smooth and tender. Update time, it's been just about 30 minutes with the lid cracked and we're looking good. Check that out, still reducing. So now what I think I'm gonna do is just Keep the lid off and let this go another, I don't know, 15, 30 minutes. The beef is starting to fall apart, but I want it nice and thick. Another update. We're getting there. See how brown it's turning because that coconut milk is caramelizing, and you can see it's almost all oil from the fat in the coconut milk and the fat in the beef. So we're pretty much just deep frying this beef at this point. And there's one more ingredient that I want to add at this point. A baggie. A baggie of what? These are some coconut flakes, toasted coconut flakes that I made, I don't know, a few months ago. And I want to add these to the dish closer to the end. You can add these early on. There's different techniques, but I think it will just add some really nice texture and another layer of coconut flavor. All right, I am completely happy with that. That oil separation, the coconut in there is just, I mean, it's looking out of control. No wonder this is considered one of the most flavorful curries in the world. So like I said, you can keep this super liquidy, more of a thinner curry. You can cook it down as much as you want. I like a little bit of sauce in there so it infuses into the rice. So this to me is the perfect texture.
We're starting off very, very strong out the gate. Come on, let's just take a quick look at the tenderness real quick. Pull on this is perfect. It's not completely fall apart. You don't want pulled beef. You want tender beef, just holding on. Let me get the ultimate bite right here. Because when you cook something low and slow and you put in the patience, you will find the reward. Okay, here we go. Wow, I needed a second with that beef. This, my friends, it does have a reputation for being the best curry in the world. I don't know who gave it that title, but I get it. The flavor is insane. It's butter in your mouth, and all it is beef on top of rice, cooked in the most incredible way. I love this dish, but we're moving on. We've got more curries to make. All right, curry paste number 2. Curry number 2 is an Indian curry, and I make this curry so much, especially in the summer when the tomatoes are popping off. And it's a really simple curry. It's basically just a glorified tomato sauce with a few really important techniques that you have to nail down if you want to get this dish right. And I love this dish because you can throw in anything. This is going to be vegetarian. Throw in whatever vegetables you have. I'm just using what's in season, what's fresh, and what I think will work well in this tomato curry, so let's get after it. The prep for this dish, again, is very simple. All I'm gonna do is chop up some fresh tomatoes. And like I mentioned before, I make this dish all the time in the summer because it's just so much better with fresh summer tomatoes. You can use canned tomatoes. It's not gonna have the same flavor. I try to stay away from that, but if that's all you have, just go for it. It will still taste pretty delicious. Once the tomatoes are cut up, I'm gonna reserve those, put them aside, and I'm gonna move on to my veggies. And the only additional veggie I'm using for this is some asparagus because that's what I had in my fridge. But this is just a base tomato curry that you can add any veggie you want, and that's what I love about it. So feel free to just use up what you have in your fridge. Veggies prepped. Last ingredient that needs to be prepped, which I did last night, was just soaking some chickpeas overnight, which I really like because it adds a bunch of protein to this dish, which it doesn't have. There's no meat in this dish. You can use canned chickpeas, but I would highly suggest getting dried chickpeas and just soaking them overnight. So much better. I'm using a heavy enamel pot here that I love for making curries, and a lot of people ask about this pot. It's a Le Creuset, and I believe they call it a soup pot, but I actually bought this specifically because I thought it'd be perfect for curries, which it is. I'm gonna add in some ghee, which is just clarified butter, and a little bit of regular, just neutral oil. And the next step is to temper off our spices. This is going to be really the key difference of this curry right here is tempering whole spices. That is such a classic Indian technique and the foundation of so many Indian curries. Gives you great texture from those seeds, but also you're infusing that ghee or that oil with all of this delicious spiciness. Now, once these are toasted, which they are right now, they're giving off a great aroma. I'm gonna sprinkle in a little bit of mustard seeds, and then these will start popping. Up, see, yep, popping. So once we've infused those spices into the ghee and the oil, I'm gonna be cooking off the curry paste once again. And the goal is just to cook out some of that rawness and start to caramelize those aromatics to really enhance the flavor, which took about 5 minutes on a medium-low heat. And you'll really start to smell this when it's done. Just trust your senses on this. When it starts smelling incredible and you smell an actual shift in the aromas, then you know you're ready to move on to the next step, which is adding our tomatoes. You're gonna add those tomatoes, and I also top this off with just a little bit of water, because even though those tomatoes are gonna release a lot of liquid, I'm still gonna be cooking this down for a little bit, so extra water will help with my overall consistency. Then I added my soaked chickpeas, and once that comes to a boil, I threw a lid on the pot and let that simmer and really let those flavors meld together.
All right, quick update. Curry cooking away, looking great. It's been about 15 minutes. This is a little thin for me right now, which is fine because I'm just gonna keep the lid off for now, and we'll let that reduce and get a little thicker. 2 more ingredients I wanna add. This is masala powder right here. So Indian curries, they just use layers of flavor. We have the whole spice in there. We have the curry paste. Now we're going in with some powdered spice. That's what it's all about. And then we haven't added, oh, did I really just go in with the curry spoon? Come on. We're gonna add our salt. Stir that in. And we'll just let that simmer away until it reduces. And then I just have some fresh ingredients to add after that. So there's 2 things I'm looking for at this point. One is that these chickpeas are cooked through, which they are. They're nice and tender. And 2 is just the consistency that you want. Right now, I'm feeling good about this thickness. It's not too thick, but it's not too thin. It's right in that curry range. In goes the asparagus. And let's go in with that cilantro as well. Let's cook this for a few minutes and we are good. Oh, it also adds color. Like, you can't deny that color. Now let's give it a try. What I love about this dish is, one, it's vegetarian. It's very light. There's no coconut milk, so you're not getting that extra fat, so you can eat this all the time. Even though the other curries that I'm making today, I might like more in the moment, this dish I make the most, and I can guarantee that. In the summer, I'm making this, I don't know, twice a week, some form of this. It's so healthy, yet you're packing it with flavor. Indian cuisine is so good at making vegetables taste amazing, which is something that Americans struggle with a lot. We know how to like grill vegetables, roast them, that's it. But this is how you take veggies up a notch.
All right, so the last curry, and you didn't think I would leave out the Thai coconut curry. Come on, that's the first curry that turned me on to curries in the first place. I was in a Thai restaurant, and I think I tried a Thai green coconut curry. It was super spicy, but those flavors together, it was a moment in my life where I just couldn't quite grasp how I had been missing out on those flavor combinations together my whole life. Just the coconut and the spices and the aromatics, it's just so good, and that's what we're gonna be covering now, the proper techniques to make a really good Thai coconut curry at home. And of course, I'm using the curry paste that I have. It's that sort of yellowish curry paste, but whatever curry paste that you have, if it's green, if it's red, if it's store-bought, if it's pounded out for 3 hours, it's gonna be good with these techniques. All right, let's prep some ingredients for this coconut curry, and you can keep this straight up vegetarian. Just fry up some tofu if you want, or just keep it straight vegetables. It's totally up to you. I'm using some chicken thigh, which last night I did a little bit of prep by just salting both sides of the chicken and throwing that in the fridge. And if your chicken still has the skin on, what's gonna happen is that chicken skin is going to dry out in the fridge overnight, and the chicken's gonna cure a bit, and you are going to get the crispiest, juiciest chicken of your life. Trust me on this tip. Now I've got some veggies here. Use whatever you have on hand. I had some of these nice little broccoli tops that I got in a delivery box this week from Farm to People. I'll give them a quick shout out. Thanks for giving me that fresh produce every week. And then I've got a few sugar snap peas, which I thought would be really nice in this dish. And lastly, some fresh basil. If you can find Thai basil, certainly go for that. But I've got some regular basil, and that will work fine as well. I'm using a wider skillet for this recipe, mainly to have space for all of the chicken, but you might have noticed that I've used a different pot for every single recipe, which was also on purpose to show you that you can cook a curry in pretty much any type of pot or pan. I'm gonna sear up this chicken until it's nice and crispy, and you don't have to worry about cooking it through. You just wanna develop a nice crust because we're gonna chop up this chicken later and throw it into the curry to simmer and really finish off and get nice and tender. Look at that beautiful crispy skin. I love chicken thigh with the skin on. It is one of my favorite cuts of meat and I get it all of the time. And also, now we have this incredible chicken fat that we're gonna take full advantage of. So we can just take the chicken out of the pot, and then again, we're gonna follow the trend of the past dishes and we're gonna be cooking up that curry paste in the chicken fat. And if you're not using meat and you don't have that natural fat, well, you can use another type of oil or fat in this dish, or just use coconut milk and reduce it. And this next skill is classic with Thai coconut curries, which is using coconut milk. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Which has so much fat in it to help cook down this curry paste, because right now, but it's still looking a little dry. So what you can do, watch this. Hit it with a little bit of that. Now, as we cook this together, as we reduce that coconut milk, it's basically just going to turn into more fat that we can render out this paste and build that curry flavor. Okay, there you go. Look at that. See that oil separation? This coconut milk has cooked down, and now it's so much easier to fry this curry paste. And it's looking fantastic. It's smelling good in here. We're ready to move on. So you can just look at that and tell that the base is incredible. We're off to a great start, but now we're gonna add in more coconut milk to really create a nice broth. I also added in just a little water to thin it out, but that is totally up to you. It's your curry, it's your consistency, my friends. Now the next tip is cooking this for just around 5 minutes to bring all the flavors together. You don't have to cook it for too long. It already tastes amazing. And then we're gonna add in our veggies. And I'm starting with those broccoli tips or tops or whatever they're called, and some sugar snap peas. And then lastly, I sliced up my crispy chicken into bite-sized chunks and then added that to the mix and just cooked it for another 5 minutes until the chicken was nice and cooked through and those veggies were perfectly tender with just a little bit of snap to them. Now this right here, that's something special. And you see this oil separation? You can see like these little oil droplets here. That's from rendering out that coconut milk, and that's a good sign that the technique worked properly. I do need to add in my basil. Oh, there's one more thing I can add. A hit of lime, a little acidity goes a long way with this dish because there's so much fat in it. It's so creamy. Just at the end, and then we're pretty much done. We'll serve that over some delicious rice. I might be the most excited for this one. Okay. The bite of all bites. Well, there's a reason that this Thai coconut curry is so popular. It's just the best. I mean, how can you try this and not love it? If you don't like this, there's probably something wrong with your taste buds because it's creamy, it's sweet, and it is the perfect way to incorporate more veggies, more protein into your diet. It just makes things exciting, it makes things fun, and of course that goes with all these curries, but this one just came out so damn good. I mean, come on, my friends. This is what being a pro home cook is all about. We've learned some skills, we've learned some techniques, and now we have 3 different curries that we can bring into our daily cooking routine. We've got lunches, we've got dinner options, and I know that's what you're looking for because that's what we want. We want variety in our life. So now you can apply these techniques and skills with just whatever you have on hand in the fridge. And that's really the goal of being a pro home cook. Use what you got and make delicious food. So if you liked these recipes, click this video on ramen because it's a similar idea. Once you master this, maybe you can go on and master some ramen and have more dinner options. And I'll see you in the next video.